The German infantry at Caen had faced tanks before, Shermans, Cromwells, even the slow, lumbering Churchills that their Panzerfaust could cripple with a single lucky hit. But what rolled toward them on the night of June 19, 1944, wasn't just another British tank. It growled low, trailed an armored fuel trailer, and carried a weapon that no infantryman had trained to confront. The soldiers of the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend would later say they thought the British had unleashed some forbidden machine. They had no idea that a new variant of the Churchill had arrived, the Crocodile, a tank that could project liquid fire hundreds of feet, burning through bunkers, steel doors, and morale in equal measure. The story began 2 years earlier inside a converted factory in Kent, where engineers under Major General Percy Hobart were experimenting with turning existing armor into specialized assault vehicles. Hobart, a veteran of North Africa, believed technology could smash the stalemate of fortified warfare. "It's not courage we lack," he wrote in a 1942 memorandum to GHQ, "but tools suited for the job." Percy Hobart, British War Office Report, 1942. The Churchill, already notorious for its thick armor, up to 152 millimeters on the front, was the perfect chassis. Slow but nearly indestructible, its 40-ton frame could bear additional systems without collapsing suspension or engine mounts. By 1943, prototype Crocodiles were being tested at Lulworth Range. The design was brutal in simplicity. Replace the Hall machine gun with a flamethrower nozzle, connected by a 30-foot armored pipe to a 6.5-ton fuel trailer. The trailer carried 400 gallons of thickened fuel, napalm-like in texture, and compressed nitrogen at 300 psi to eject it. In tests, the flame reached over 120 yards. Engineers recorded temperatures above 1,000 degrees Celsius at impact. "It roared like a steel beast breathing hell," noted Sergeant Major Douglas Price in his test log, Royal Armored Corps Archives, 1943. The Crocodile's Achilles heel, ironically, was its heart, the trailer connection. One direct hit could rupture the line and disable the system. Early prototypes suffered from leaks that ignited during trials, forcing design crews to reinforce couplings with quick-seal valves. Even so, commanders worried about morale. Would men willingly ride into combat dragging a massive fuel bomb? Field Marshal Montgomery ordered trials with live units in late 1943 to answer that question. The results were mixed. Crews respected the tank's firepower, but feared being singled out by German gunners. One corporal wrote, "We feel like walking targets, but God help the poor devil in front of us." Corporal J. Sanders, 141st Regiment War Diary, 1944. When D-Day came, only 180 Churchill Crocodiles were operational. Their 350 horsepower Bedford engine gave a modest top speed of 15 miles per hour, but on the hedgerow-strewn roads of Normandy, speed mattered less than endurance. Each could fire 7 one-second bursts before refueling, a figure that sounds limited until you realize each burst blanketed an entire pillbox or trench line. The 141st Regiment, Royal Armored Corps, nicknamed the Buffs, was the first to deploy them near Caen in mid-June. Their target? Entrenched German infantry supported by machine gun nests and 75mm anti-tank guns dug into the ruins of Saint-Honoré.
Production ramped up at Vauxhall Motors, with 800 conversions completed by spring 1945, each costing roughly £25,000, equivalent to about $1.3 million today. The weapon's effectiveness prompted Allied planners to deploy them in Italy and later during the Rhine crossings. In one case, a single Crocodile cleared a German-held island in the Maas River after firing only 4 bursts. Field Marshal Montgomery personally inspected the units, remarking, "They do in minutes what battalions could not do in days." Montgomery Dispatch, April 1945. By war's end, the Crocodile had a combat record unmatched among flame weapons. Over 400 engagements, minimal crew losses, and disproportionate psychological effect. Yet despite its success, the weapon faded quickly from post-war doctrine. The Cold War's emphasis on nuclear and mechanized warfare made flamethrowers seem primitive, even barbaric. Britain retired the last Crocodiles in 1951. Still, their legacy endured, not as instruments of cruelty, but as symbols of how industrial ingenuity could break static defenses built on fear. In the ruins of Europe, where bunkers once promised safety and walls meant power, the Crocodile proved that nothing on the battlefield was invulnerable. Fire, in the Age of Steel, had found its new machine. And for the German infantry who once laughed at the slow British tanks, the lesson was seared forever into memory. Speed could be beaten, armor could be pierced, but terror, when engineered, could burn through anything.
At 0400 hours, the Crocodiles advanced behind smoke cover. The air smelled of diesel, wet earth, and fear. German sentries, expecting conventional armor, held fire until the tanks were within 200 meters. Then came the unmistakable crack of Panzerfausts. 2 Churchills were hit, but their thick side armor held. The British line halted, their commanders shouting over radio static. Then one Crocodile, vehicle number 16 of B Squadron, swung its turret and fired. The flame erupted not as a thin jet, but as a continuous wave. The sound was deafening, like compressed thunder. Even seasoned soldiers froze. In less than 20 seconds, 7 defensive positions went silent. From aerial reconnaissance afterward, the German bunkers were blackened shells, not because they had exploded, but because the oxygen inside had vanished. "Nothing in our manuals prepared us for that," wrote Obergefreiter Karl Müller, 12th SS Panzer Division, in his diary later captured by Allied troops. "We thought we were safe inside our concrete. Then the air burned." Müller Diary, June 1944, Bundesarchive. The Crocodiles moved methodically, never fast but never stopping, advancing through corridors of smoke and steam. The flame ignited not just fortifications, but psychology. German units abandoned strongpoints that had held for days against artillery bombardment. Panic rippled along trenches. White flags appeared where none had been seen since Normandy began. Yet even this new terror weapon came with limits. Each Crocodile required a specialized refueling crew and tanker to replenish fuel and nitrogen, a process that could take 30 minutes under ideal conditions. During the fighting near Hill 112, logistical delays left 2 Crocodiles without fuel in the middle of a counterattack. Their commanders had to detach the trailers and fight on with only the main gun. The supply chain demanded nearly 1,000 gallons of fuel per vehicle per day, a nightmare in Normandy's shattered roads. Maintenance teams, crawling under vehicles slicked with soot and oil, often worked through the night. The Army's 79th Armored Division reported that by late July 1944, only 60% of Crocodiles were operational at any given moment due to wear, heat damage, and clogged valves. But when they did work, they reshaped tactics. Infantry, who once dreaded storming pillboxes, now followed the Crocodiles like bodyguards. "The men cheer when they see one of those beasts," wrote Lieutenant Harold Whitcomb to his wife.
It's as if fire itself is fighting on our side. Letter, July 1944, Imperial War Museum. On the German side, field reports labeled them Flammenpanzer Churchill and urged commanders to target the trailer first, often a fatal mistake, since the Crocodile's main gun returned fire before the crew could aim properly. By late August 1944, as the Allies pushed toward Falaise, crocodiles had become psychological weapons as much as tactical ones. They were used in demonstrations, firing bursts into empty fields to prompt surrender. Some German garrisons capitulated without a single shot exchanged once they heard the characteristic roar of pressurized nitrogen and saw the liquid flame arc across the night sky. Reports from captured officers admitted that flamethrower tanks demoralized entire companies more effectively than artillery barrages.